are people like watching anime through clips and edits, and I thought that was like a joke. Watching it kind of passively, not necessarily like watching it for the enjoyment of it. Watching it in 1.5, I thought all of this shit was like a joke at first. And I'm like, oh
I
wow,
found out in my video that I was wrong about the 1.5. It's 3 times.
oh
It's worse. So apparently they put it only on 1.5 times if they like the show. And if it's one of those old retro ones, say like Toradora or something even older, they put it on 3 times while they're on their phone.
wow, I don't even know how you watch. But that's the thing. I don't know how you watch it, so that's all.
Same. I'd be like, how can you pay attention to what they're saying? Like, the conversation would be over so quickly. What would be probably a 25-minute episode would be done in like 7 to 8 minutes.
Okay, so I had this tier list brought up of the anime men, and I didn't know that they were just watching the first episode of a lot of these anime and ranking them based on that. And I'm like, man, when it comes to especially Toradora, like there's something you gotta watch like the whole body. Like you can't just watch one episode and really give I would say an accurate rating or ranking of it.
I noticed any show that has sort of a slower build to it, it's a little bit more slower paced, they've rated much lower. I complain about Steins Gate. It's like that's a show that you need to at least watch like
Yeah. Oh,
six
is that on here too?
episodes in.
Steins Gate? They rank that?
No, I don't
Oh,
think it is. But it just reminds me of that, like any
yeah,
type of
yeah.
slow burner. Like imagine if they watched that, they'd rage
Oh,
out
yeah,
after the
yeah,
first
yeah. No,
episode.
no,
They'd be
yeah.
like, that's too complicated.
And this is where I think the FOMO thing is like the fear of missing out. And I think a lot of this shit is FOMO, especially when they said that they hated anime their whole life, and then like all of a sudden they love anime. From Death Note. I remember reading about how Crunchyroll wants to make short form content, and for the TikTok generation, I'm like, oh man. And then when I saw the anime men, I'm like, oh fuck, I hope they don't mean like they're trying to cater towards like them. It's one thing to say like, okay, I was ignorant to anime, I didn't know what it was, but when I saw this, I really enjoyed it. Like, oh wow, this is anime, I like it. But it's another thing to just say, I hated anime and then all of a sudden overnight I like anime. I'm just worried that they are becoming, I guess, the main focal point, like, oh, maybe we should cater to them because they're the ones that's getting all the traffic. Okay, and then other people who are sub to them were like, well, let me make content about this and let me get into anime so I can make content about this, like they're making content about it. And it just becomes this like
It's the concern is, and I think to kind of iterate on it is, yeah, if they become the norm of what people see as the content creators and what they like is seen as the norm, they might start catering to that high energy, short sort of real kind of thing. And it was only about a year and a half ago, I read a research paper that stated that the average IQ of people has dropped 20 points. Now, for people that don't understand the significance of 20 points IQ drop, that is 100 years
whew,
of development as a species removed within 3 years.
holy shit.
And that's
Yeah.
why I add that in, because I'm like, if we have such a heavy decline in IQ intelligence and we've got social media amplifying it more and more and more, are we going to go down this sort of race to the bottom of like a short attention span, kids just not able to understand things and just nuance and unable to analyze things? And I mean, now look with Grok, like you only need to go on X and I can post an anime meme and someone goes, Grok, what is this name? It's like, instead of using AI as a tool to help learn things and use it as a tool to make your life more convenient, they're using it as a way to think for them. And it's just making them dumber and dumber
Yeah.
and dumber and dumber. And then imagine how anime is going to look in 10 years when people are like, I'm too stupid to understand subplots.
Yeah, that's definitely worrying. When I heard about, because where I work, a lot of my clientele are teachers, and they talk about how they have to grade papers now with the thought that maybe a lot of students are using ChatGPT to write their papers, but ChatGPT, I mean, you're literally getting somebody to think for you or an entity to think for you, right? That is a huge worry, and I think it's going to lead to a downward spiral where it's going to be shit that kind of feeds itself into a downward spiral. Like the more I get ChatGPT to think for me, the more I don't have to think. But the thing is, ChatGPT is relied on human thinking. So like if more people
Yeah.
stop thinking, it's like a downward spiral, and it's like, okay, it's just everything is going
What
to be a
happens
black
is
hole.
all the AIs are feeding on each other, and it's just like an endless sort of centipede of just going around. So, and it's like imagine copying a file and then you upload it, and someone else copies that file, and then you upload it, and then it just continues in a cycle where it degrades over time.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's what's going to happen to AI, and I think it's just what's going to happen to people. And I think social media is going to be this generation's humans' greatest trial. And it sounds so dumb, like social media could be the actual downfall of the human race, but it's like we only need to look at 20 IQ drop in the last 3 years and be like, okay, maybe there's some discussion to be made on that.
No, yeah, I have this observation where I say that the more that I actually included this in one of my lyrics, the more that we technologically advance, the more we existentially decline. I see a lot of like prolonging of the adolescent period, the maturation process, like cause
I've noticed there was some anti-tubers as well. This is where I'm going to burn bridge. I won't say any names, but there's a lot of anti-tubers now that do like episodic reviews, and some of them just feel like glorified synapses. Like they won't articulate how they feel about a show. They just say, "Yeah, it was good." And it's like, okay, well, what did you like about the show? It was good. It had good fight scenes. It had good romance. The characters were cool. Good animation. It's like, okay, but what did you like? Like, how did you? It was just good. And it's like, okay, that's really articulate. Thank you.
okay, always like very generic, like
And I
something.
feel like that's what a lot of content creation has become. It's become very dumbed down.
And that's where I guess point of view comes into play. And I try to do my best to do that, and I'll try to do
That's what I try to
better
do as
on that.
well. I try to add a bit more of my own life experience as well. When it comes to like, if I'm talking like romance, I'll add my own life experience of like romances and, my triumphs and my fails, like even my fails, because it adds some, fun sort of comedic value of being people like, huh, they don't feel so bad. They can connect. They're like, oh, well, you failed at that. I had similar experience, and it gives an idea of people how to think and feel about like, oh, well, maybe in the future when I meet someone, I maybe instead of acting like that where I failed, maybe I act in this way. And I think it's a good way to teach people better communications. But a lot of like social media is just like all just like getting angry at like thin air.
I don't think I'll cease to stop being puzzled when it comes to like what people get outraged about. Shit that I will never ever think about. Like, wait a minute, that's what you saw in that? Like, I remember when like that video that you saw of mine with the free rent where the one journalist was saying that like it's this is like bordering on Nazi propaganda because they're like labeling a certain race as like objectively evil. This is like borderline on Nazi propaganda. And then she was saying in the article, I was getting pissed off when I was reading that. She was saying that I don't know if the author himself is racist or not, but who knows now? I'm like, wow, that's your takeaway from watching Free Rent. That's your takeaway. That's what you're extracting from Free Rent when you watch it. Like, not like it's similar to maybe Lord of the Rings where you have this adventure and then Freewind has this whole group of people that she's becoming involved with, and she's starting to humanize herself. Like what she felt as if she was lacking was the human perspective and how she was kind of too cold, compared to how she is as an elf compared to the humans, and she needs to kind of learn how to live in the moment and experience. Man, there was one scene, it was her and Fern. I remember it. I forgot which episode it was. It was her and Fern looking at a sunset. I really enjoyed that scene watching them because she related it back to her and Himmel. I think that's his name, the hero of the story from her flashback. She kind of like, oh, I remember watching this with Himmel, and yeah, he had this reaction to it, like it was like something to like behold, like this. There was like beauty in the sunrise, and to her, she's seen a sunset, I don't know, 1,000,000 times. Being a elf living for hundreds of years or thousands of years, and then as she was having that thought, she looked at Fern and saw like Fern was like damn near about to cry in the presence of this sunset, seeing the beauty of it, and Freewind automatically learned why this is something to cherish. It's almost like it's not necessarily the sunset. Of course, there's beauty within the sunset, but it's more like who you're sharing this moment with. And that's what I got from the takeaway watching that scene. I was like, wow, that was a really, really good scene. You almost like saw how she was about to ask Fern, what is the point of this? And then she saw how Fern was like, wow, this is beautiful. And it's like Freewind smile. And it was a genuine smile. The animators really did a good job, like really displaying a genuine smile on
And
Freeman's
it's those
face.
subtle details that really matter as well in
Yes.
shows like that. And
Yes.
that's why when I hear people are watching animes in 3 times speed, I'm like,
Yo,
you
you're missing that.
lose all those subtleties, those little moments, those little smiles.
Oh
Like, you
my
don't
God,
need to
yes.
see or read everything, but those little moments of just subtleties of emotions and connections and bondings and the atmosphere in the world. It's just like that's what anime has always been. You know, we've got our junk food out there, but there's those moments like Favorite Animal Free Run that is just captivating, and you lose it when you're just speed running it.
Right. This is not, like you said, little subtlety moments. Shit that will make me get goosebumps. Like, even just talking about it, it makes me want to go back and watch Free Run just because of that. I don't want to have to rely on watching old anime where this is where I'm only going to get this from. I want this shit to continue. And hopefully with enough voicing of these opinions, like, hey, this is what we want from these stories. Don't listen to these people that hated anime 5 seconds ago and all of a sudden are geniuses. I don't want that to go. I don't want Japanese creators to cater to the wrong people. Understand that, like, where your investment is coming from as far as like time, viewership, and people that are willing to really, put their support behind. And I hope that becomes more well known to Japanese creators. I do have hope though. I do have hope that it's permeating through like all of the noise of the bullshit and all of the people that, well, it's not enough this, not enough that, and the constant cry bullying and shit.